Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Super Amy Adventures playthrough. Yes, I'm going to play through the entire game as Amy, and you can't stop me.
Somebody stop him.
Can I just say, like, whatever other problems people may or may not have with this game, I fucking love the originality on a concept level. I like how they play with classic Sonic in ways that I honestly didn't expect to see them ever do. Not just adding an entirely new character, but like the giant animals, that's fun. The stage themes are perhaps not as original as as like Press Garden or Studiopolis, but I'm trying to.
Lewis, can you play the game?
I was trying to skip the loop and see if there was something like
the time you wasted trying to skip the loop. You could have just held right.
You know what was great about that? I saw a platform up in the corner of the screen exactly as I spin dashed into the one-way frickin' tunnel. I was like, God damn it. I would have double jumped up to that if I noticed it just like a few seconds earlier. But it was a good thing that I didn't, because this led me directly to a special ring. Some of the special rings are really well hidden in this game. A couple of them in the early zones are just fucking sitting out there because they really want you to get those first few emerald powers. I mean, fair game. The Avatar and Bullet powers are pretty much must-haves, but...
Yeah, they're the best power-ups, bar none.
I never would have thought of Spider-Man as a Sonic special stage. But
I mean, it's basically the Enter Beam thing from Sonic Boom, but, you know.
Oh, God.
That game turns 10 next year.
What?
Uh-huh.
PS4 turned 10 a few days ago.
How about you shut your mouth?
No.
Okay, so the second power is by far the best. It's called Bullet. It's basically an omnidirectional air dash that you can spam to your heart's content while the timer runs out. And the timer lasts a pretty generous amount. And one thing to keep in mind is that anytime you touch a checkpoint, even when you have already triggered, all of your used up powers will recharge. The downside is whenever you take ring damage, not only will you lose any power you currently have active until your next checkpoint, but you also, like, even if you just have one pre-selected so that you can use it, the selection gets canceled for some reason, and it's freaking aggravating.
Yeah, it's really fucking annoying.
It's like, you know, it's a little awkward to operate the right stick during a boss fight, but, you know, they make you have to do it every time you get hit. So,
you can also use these shoulder buttons to cycle through power as well.
Oh, can you?
In case the right analyst, yeah, you can.
Okay, the only thing I know about what the shoulder buttons do is that if you, like, if you hit both shoulder buttons, you cancel a power, including supersonic. So.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only one you'd ever want to cancel? Well, maybe
You don't know my expert bullet cancel speedrun strats, Lewis?
I'll find myself canceling slow. When I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, actually, slow at the wrong time can make certain situations annoying. Like, it's one of those powers where you really have to know when to use it. It's like there are times when it seems like it's a good idea to activate slow, but then you realize once everything's slowed down, oh shit, the platforming's been screwed up now.
You know what, though? This is a nice little, like, sort of demonstration of why the single-player Sonic Superstars is actually pretty fucking solid, like, all things considered.
Oh, yeah. I mean, quibbles over which bosses are good and bad and terrible aside, the actual zones are really well done for the most part.
Aside from the last ones, I think the game's zones are fine. Yeah.
I like the last one. But then, you know, I freaking liked Eggman Land too, so...
So what the fuck do I know?
Well, to be fair, Amy's double jump comes in clutch in the last zone too.
Yeah.
Like, well, it won't save you from those fucking collapsing floors, but... I
think it's a safe assumption that Amy Rose is just categorically the best character.
Oh, yeah.
Like, of the selection. She's not the fastest because she doesn't have, like, Sonic's drop dash.
Yeah.
And shit like that. So, like, if you're trying... Yeah, so like if you don't really care about like time attack or trying to complete the level as fast as you can, supersonic speed and all that sort of shit, if you want to have a really fucking good time, you pick Amy.
The weird thing about Amy not having the drop dash is that in Origins she kind of does, because when she does her hammer run, when coming out of a hammer spin jump, she'll dash in any direction, and you can actually change her direction as she runs, unlike Sonic's drop dash. So
I feel like I'm just a moron here, because I still to this day don't know how the fuck the drop dash works and how you do it.
Okay, it's actually more visible here than it was in Mania because of the 3D model, but it happens in Mania too. When you hold down the button in midair, Sonic's midair spin will speed up and turn into a blurry circle. You can sort of see it happening with Amy here too, because she has her normal hammer jump and her faster spinning blurry hammer jump.
It also makes a distinguished sound.
It makes a kind of
too.
spin dashy sound in midair too.
Yeah.
So the audio
But it's higher pitched.
Yeah. So you hold down the button to trigger that, and if you're still holding down the button when you land, you'll do the drop dash. But it's easier to see that visual cue in 3D than it was in Mania's 2D. Because like, I guess it's just easier to distinguish when Sonic is a 3D model of Sonic curled into a ball as opposed to a 3D model of a blue blurry ball.
Well, on that note, what did you think of the switch back to 2.5D as opposed to the pixel graphics?
I think Sonic pulled it off better than Mega Man.
Compared to what game specifically are you comparing that to? Like Mega Man Powered Up, 11?
I was talking 11.
Oh, okay. Did you ever play Mega Man Powered Up on the PSP?
A little bit of it, but that one had its own like distinct sort of style. Yeah. And it was also a PSP game, so I'm not going to knock it too hard for being graphically rough.
But the point is this 2.5D, and I think that game looks great.
But like, PSP games, even if they have good art styles, are always going to be kind of graphically rough because of the resolution and the limitations of the system. Like,
bold of you to assume I'm playing on actual hardware.
Well, even if you're playing on actual hardware, like, I fucking love the Castlevania Rondo of Blood remake on the PSP.
Yeah.
But, like, even that with its distinctive art style and stuff can only go so far with the PSP's polygon count. So... Like,
well, because that was a grittier graphic presentation though compared to like Mega Man Power. I think the cartoonier the graphics are, the better it ends up.
Yeah,
aging.
but on like better hardware, say like the PS Vita at the very least, they would have been able to pull off something like a nice sort of painted aesthetic that complemented that art style, and it would have been great. In fact, I hope they remake that remake and do exactly what I just described.
Oh God, what are you, Naughty Dog? Holy shit! Don't say that again.
Naughty Dog, this is the 7th time you've shown The Last of Us to the class.
To be fair, The Last of Us Part 1 did deserve to have a remake. Whether they pulled it off or not is another question, because a lot of the stuff that they showed that they accomplished in The Last of Us Part 2 was stuff they were showing off in early footage of The Last of Us 1, but didn't include in the final game because of limitations. Actually, Hayden did an interesting video on that subject, so I suggest you watch that. When you're done here, of course.
That sounds lovely. Fuck these guys.
Be sure to watch that in 1351, 2, 3.
But yeah,
no, but I think graphically this game looks really good.
It does, yeah.
Like I'm hoping this sets the standard for other 2.5D classic game or otherwise, because I think they really knocked the graphics out of the park for this one.
They did, and we have an established engine now for 2.5D Sonic team-made classic Sonic games at last, Yeah. So they can absolutely build on this to make the next classic Sonic game, and it'll be great if they do. Let's just hope the next one has like, 1 or 2 more QA passes than this one did, and
Sonic Super Duper Stars.
Some more testing for the post-game second campaign would be nice. Just gonna.
I don't remember where I read it from, so take my word with a grain of salt with this one. But when this game was announced, and again, minute one, folks were wondering, all right, but how's it gonna control? Because it's not Mania, and a big thing about what made Mania so fun to play is that it was essentially just using the retro engine like the Sonic 1, 2, and CD remasters did. So this game does control very much like the Genesis games. And I recall reading an interview saying that, like, so when plans fell through with like a Mania follow-up, we decided to just like build everything from scratch, including the gameplay engine, which is not at all just a reskin from the retro engine. And then I remember like someone reading is like, no, they're lying. This is just the retro engine, because why the fuck would you give up a good thing?
I mean, I can believe that it's a completely new built engine. And one of the reasons I can do that is because I somehow fucked up the spin dash. In a weird way, that is not equal between versions. But, like, the PC version has a slightly nerfed spin dash because the refresh rate is wrong.
What?
The refresh rate is wrong. So the spin dash doesn't work exactly as it should. And you probably didn't experience this because you played the PS5 version. But, if the spin dash seems a little nerfed in this playthrough, it's because of that refresh rate problem. It's weird. It's fucking weird. But it's that kind of engine quirk that sort of gives away to me that they did build a new engine. Also, the retro engine got the fucking orbs right.
I'm not saying they didn't tinker with shit, but I kind of find it just...
Oh, damn it.
Again, this is just me being a little cynical. But when they say that they built a whole new engine for this one, I don't buy that, because until Sonic Mania, their attempts at 2D engines fucking sucked.
Well, here's the thing about that, okay? The previous attempts at 2D engines in Sonic 4 and Sonic Generations were all held back by specific things. Number one, Sonic 4 was built on Sonic Rush. You can see the problem. Yeah. Number two, Sonic Generations had to play double duty with modern Sonic's physics. Or lack thereof, as the case may be. And, you know, they managed to accomplish... Oh, did you see Sonic and Tails in the background there? That was neat. They managed to accomplish something semi-decent in Sonic Generations, but, you know, it's the same gameplay engine that modern Sonic is working with, and, you know, there's no room for a completely dedicated classic Sonic physics engine in a game that also has to deal with Boost Sonic. It just doesn't work. This is completely classic Sonic, so they had free reign to tailor the entire gameplay engine specifically to that gameplay style. And that's why we have such a better attempt here, because, you know, the game engine only has one job, and it's doing that one job. Unlike the meme that phrase comes from. But, like, okay, so... how do I put this? Even Sonic 4 Episode 2 was just built on a slightly spruced up version of Episode 1, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they tweaked the jump deceleration, by which I mean jump deceleration exists at all. And that's kind of the thing. You can see something similar going on in Sonic Frontiers now that they've added, you know, more options to how your character handles in the recent updates. You can spin dash like in Sonic Adventure now, if you check a certain box in the options menu that turns jump deceleration off.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, considering that
it absolutely breaks the game.
Well, no, so there's I'm sure that's also a thing. But I'm more thinking in the sense of Sonic has always been a very pick up and play kind of game. Like, you don't need to think about, like, you don't have to, it's not the kind of game where you necessarily needed to spend a half an hour in the options menu before you turn to the game on.
Oh,
is
yeah.
more what I was thinking about, you know.
I mean, you can play the game just fine with your default options, but like,
yeah, I was gonna say, is it really that much of a deal though? If it's something you can do, you don't have to.
I mean, there's it just depends on how good those defaults are, and if I remember correctly from the bit of Frontiers I was in, you guys suggested that you change a bunch of things in the. It's also like it messes with the flow of a game. To need to, oh, this feels weird, stop, okay, I'm gonna go into the options
Well,
and fiddle with this.
I mean-
and then start a new, and then play again, and then fiddle with it some more.
The beginning of the game, where you're going to be figuring that shit out anyway, has no flow, as I went over when I was talking about that horrible, horrible tutorial. So that's a bit of a moot point in Frontiers' case. Anyway, this is a boss that I don't like, because every time you hit it, it fucking transitions to a new screen. I mean, it's not a long boss. You only have to hit it 3 times. But, like, you know.
Yeah, it's a mini boss. And you already got 1 hit there thanks to Avatar, and you can easily cheese a 2nd hit with Bullet.
Yeah.
Well, there's 2.
Or just get right there, yeah.
I was gonna say, Avatar sticks around, and you'd be...
We go for the for 3-peat. There you go. That's why you get the Emerald powers.
The fact that Amy doesn't have her hammer dash and just hammers in place now when you do that has turned the hammer jump into the ultimate taunt. Or at least the second ultimate taunt. The ultimate taunt in this series is the plank jump from Sonic Adventure 2, as we all know. But, you know.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The adventure outfit for Amy, was that a pre-order thing?
It
Or
was
a newsletter?
It was a free DLC from the newsletter if you got the game on Epic.
Ugh. Never mind. I was just waiting for it
Well,
to
it's
come
like
out in DLC.
it's like $1.50.
Well, I mean, but I'll just wait for it to get released in DLC other way. That's
Well,
what
I
happened with
mean,
the adventure shoes and in
It
Frontiers.
already is. It's a buck. It's
Yeah.
$1.50.
Oh, is it? Okay, so it's just available across the
Yeah.
board. All right.
But like, okay, Act Sonic. I don't.
This is all new to me. I've never seen this before.
Yes, you have. You played Trip's Story.
No, because we were talking about this off screen like before the session, but so on top of skipping Act 1, I think Act 1 of Frozen Base,
Yeah.
I also just dead-ass didn't play Sonic's act in Speed Jungle. And you want to know how you noticed this beforehand. So in the SGB playthrough, we do play that act, and I'm playing it, and I don't know what I'm doing because I don't recognize anything. And it baffles me. It's like, how the fuck did I miss 2 acts?
I forget. Did they force you into single player for the character acts?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Ah, yeah.
These are single player only.
Yo, that's the best part of having friends over to play a video game, is when
Watching someone else play
when
the game.
You gotta watch them play. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you can skip the character acts like flat out, even if you're playing as that character already. You just get a prompt at the end of the preceding act to like go to the next numbered act or play the character act. You know?
And the character acts, for the most part, are the story acts, right? Like,
Yeah.
because outside of like playing a specific level tailored for that specific character, it's also where they, hint towards specific story beats.
Yeah, like Amy actually making friends with Trip, which is,
Yeah.
now the more I think about it, Sonic feels kind of obligatory in this story. Amy is the real main character. Fight me.
I would agree. I would
I mean,
agree.
like
actually.
most Sonic stories, well, maybe not Amy being the real main character, but Sonic does shit in all of these things.
The Sonic is by no means the point of that game story. No, you're right, because wasn't the main character in SA1. SA2 was definitely not the main character.
Yeah, he's just kind of there.
Yeah.
The final boss is a giant purple
There
dragon.
is no story in Sonic Heroes. Shadow the Hedgehog's literally not even like named about him. So there we go.
Oh, regarding the story, there's an interesting thing I heard off the grapevine. Don't quote me on it, but apparently Ian Flynn said that there was a bunch of lore for the big ass final boss dragon that just wasn't included in the game for some reason.
Oh my god. Fucking Sonic team was like, listen, we gave you Frontiers, all right? Stop knocking on my door.
Well, to be fair, I'm not really sure how you would include lore in a classic Sonic game where everyone is pantomiming.
Just background details up the ass.
Can you tell I'm having a lot of fun with the slope physics on spin dashes and stuff? Just like looking for any opportunity to launch off a hill. You couldn't fucking do that shit in Sonic 4. Or really even Sonic Generations, come to think of it.
No, actually, you could in Sonic 4. It was just overtuned as hell.
Oh.
Because if you fucking slope jumped off of a spin dash, you went to the fucking moon. But there was no speed.
Okay, so I need to correct some misinformation. about the gold badniks, now that we've seen one on screen. Okay, so an article that you can Google, if you Google the gold badniks, probably the first...
Oh, this is already too much work. This is already too much work.
An article claims that you get 100 medals if you bash a gold badnik. You don't. You get 100 points and 1 medal. But for some reason, they overlay the point thing on the medal, and it kind of looks like this medal does here with the 5 next to it. So you get 1 medal and 1 golden badnik toward an achievement. But here's the trick, okay? You don't get to count the gold badnik as defeated until you complete the zone without dying.
Without dying?
That's dumb.
What?
Well, without dying after you beat the gold badnik, yeah. It's an achievement hunt kind of thing. Every act has 1 gold badnik in it, or in one case, a Tails doll. And you know, if you bop the badnik and finish the zone without dying after that, you get a little gold badnik icon on the world map next to the zone. So there's 22 in all, 1 for each act, and you get an achievement if you get all of them, and also 22 medals because there's 22 of them.
The depth perception here is really weird. It keeps on looking. I keep on thinking that you can hit Fang.
Oh, he's in the background, yeah.
Yeah.
He's in the background.
Yeah, but it just like the way that you jump into him, I keep on expecting him to take damage of some sort.
Just get bonked. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I don't get why they brought Fang back. I mean, I suppose that people who like read the comics or whatever might have some attachment to the character, but
well,
like...
he serves more of a purpose in this game than he would in some other throwaway return, because he's actually the antagonist of Trip's story. And, you know, he has this whole dynamic with her where he's bullying her through the whole game. So him being the final boss of her campaign is narratively satisfying. Unfortunately, his final boss is fucking garbage, but, you know. Please release
that works. I guess it's just more... Speaking just maybe I'm being cynical, it feels an awful lot like Mighty and Ray did, where it somewhat felt like, oh, here's an obscure character that will make hardcore people feel like they're smart because they recognize them. Again, maybe I'm just being a dick, but... Well,
story-wise, it makes a lot of sense because Eggman has a pre-established relationship with Fang as a person who hires him to do bad stuff.
You know, I if I hired a plumber 30 years ago, I'm not going to remember to hire him again the next time my toilet gives out.
They'll probably never admit to it, but I think part of the decision came because one of the big fan projects right now is a 16-bit style remake of Triple Trouble, which is a fucking amazing remake, by the way. And, you know, if that is part of their logic, then it's nice to see Sega playing nice with the Series AM2R rather than, you know, slapping it with a cease and desist, like a certain other company we can name.